so long is like alchemy.
Number 1 pick in the draft, DeAndre Ayton's first time in Oracle Arena on a Monday night. New look Phoenix Suns, Ryan Anderson, Trevor Ariza with a lot of young talent. Now, Devin Booker got on his Monte Ellis and fractured his hand riding a BMX in Phoenix in the offseason. No Devin Booker. There'd be no Draymond Green, no Klay Thompson, no Livingston or Iguodala in this one as we see the Lakers Wednesday night. Daniel House Jr. along with the young forwards getting the start. And just like we've seen in all the previous preseason games, they try to feed Damian Jones early on, and you see him just taking too long. Everybody talks about the athlete that he is. Just get up there, young man. I think he waits too long. There's the floater, Looney, pivot, big boys Josh Jackson in the paint. And I think with the flux of smaller forwards playing the stretch 4, Looney can really bully some of these guys in the paint if he chooses to do so. He's just got to be more aggressive. Nice pivot. Steph looked really good. Watch Damian Jones kind of getting his way here on the roll. Damian's got to feel that, and he apparently can shoot the 3. He needs to fall back for the pop there. Looney finished well again, but he took his lumps. I don't think he's very familiar with Ryan Anderson. I guess he stayed in the paint and helped. You can't leave him. And it's funny how Ryan Anderson was left for dead in Houston, and he's been reinvigorated and re-empowered by this new coaching staff in Phoenix. There's the nice pass from Damian Jones to House Jr. But Ryan Anderson, it's funny what happens for a player with a change of scenery and in some more confidence instilled in him. Steph with the steal, and that's just a nasty hop hezzy, finishing with the left hand. This dude looked like he was in mid-season form. That hot hezzy can only really be utilized by a select few because most defenders aren't going to respect it unless you've got the range and the quick trigger off the dribble like Steph does. And here's a look at the new Suns head coach, who also owns a few unspecified warehouse properties along Jack London Square. Got to check on those before the game. But the story of the first half was the Suns' three-point shooting. Ariza and Ryan Anderson combined for 19 first quarter points, just letting it fly. More feeding of Damian Jones in the pick and roll, not really setting a screen. We've got to talk about his screens. But if I'm training Damian, I'm having him do speed ladder and plyometrics all day. They talk about his quick leaping ability. There's Looney getting smoked again from Ryan Anderson. He is not going to get all the way to the rim. You can yield the drive. He's not going to be able to finish over the help. And I just think Looney's not very familiar with Anderson and probably not used to him being so aggressive offensively. There's Ayton with an interesting looking turn and shoot in KD's face. And there he is jumping the passing lanes. And this is where they need a point guard. They're going to look for a point guard, but you noticed Ayton just didn't, he got his own opportunities, but no one gave him opportunities because they don't have a lead guard that sets people up right now. There's Steph with the 4-point play. Not having the vets out there in Klay, Draymond, Sean, and Ig, it really showed defensively. The young bigs really struggled in their switching and communicating in a lot of these screen situations, and there were a lot of just gimme buckets for Phoenix. Damian thinking we switch everything, not knowing that with Steph it's different, right? The rules for Steph are a little different. They don't switch everything with Steph because they don't want him pinned on big guys. Damian baseline, nice finish, nice pass. KD was very passive offensively after the output in Seattle. Here's Ayton finally getting a touch on KD here, and this was a nice, buttery smooth finish, hook turning baseline. Thought we would see more of that, especially with no Devin Booker. Now, I'm going to freeze it here, and these are just tendencies and habits that are hard to break, even for a vet, well, especially for a veteran player. Jerebko, this has to be a switch. Look at the positioning. He simply can challenge Ariza easier than KD, who's much further away, and the switch doesn't happen. And I'm confident Jerebko will make the change and pick it up. He's a heady player, but he doesn't have it yet. And then Bell treats the rookie like someone trying to tweet at Tim Kawakami. Blocked. But Phoenix, no one could miss in this first half, and they're playing free, they're playing the champs, no pressure, and clearly their plan, like so many teams, is to now just let the three ball uncork, and this was really good to see Jerebko splashing his first three as a Warrior. And yes, the release is slow, but he is 6'10". You saw that be challenged, but it didn't really matter, so his size should help with the slow release. I can't front, I'd like to see more of Jacob Evans, but right here he gets beat back door, and the problem is, you see how he turns and faces this guy? guy, now you have a very slim chance of making a play when you're facing your guy getting beat back door. He's got to open up the other direction and see the ball. That way he can make a play on the ball and he gets beat there. But again, they were splashing so many threes. That's why the back door was open. And there were about 3 or 4 plays where I really cringed and held my breath, where Bell just put somebody on their butt hard. We just got to accept that's the way he is. I love this sellout from Jerebko, right? The Suns are splashing from everywhere, so the vet adjusts and runs them off the three-point line. And I'm going to pick on Bell some more. You see him switch from Tyson Chandler to Josh Jackson. Look at him try to get back to Tyson. Now, to be fair, Josh is not known as a three-point shooter, but KYP, know your personnel. Tyson Chandler is not going to get a post-up no matter who's on him. You see these two courtside trying to figure out what to do with this final roster spot. I'm on record as, Daniel House Jr., I think, is the guy. I'll talk a little more about that, but I think these preseason games hold a little more weight now with this open roster spot. More switching problems. There's the rookie seamlessly switching. Now I'm going to hold it here. Now, this is on Bell to communicate what to do here. Schematically, spacing-wise, there's no reason to switch. Tyson's setting it's a very low screen. It probably wouldn't even be a screen. So why would Bell switch out up under the ball handler? He's got to communicate it. There is none between the two young players. Tyson rolls for an easy dunk, and that's on Jordan Bell. Whoever's the back guy on that screen's got to talk. Draymond and those guys are so great at it. Bell's got to start doing it, and this is where Quinn Cook needs to step it up. We know he can score, and we know he's not going to be a plus defender, but what he can do as a defender is be a nuisance, right? Get into people and make them expend more energy than they want to, kind of break their rhythm. So that would be the next step for him. And here's Alfonzo McKinnie getting a bucket. Very bouncy player. Now, who is Alfonzo McKinnie? He was in the 2015 draft, 6'8", 215 pounds. He's a wing. I like his aggression. I like his athleticism. He's had stints with Toronto, the Clippers, I believe, and he's similar to House Jr. And so I think right now those two are the leading candidates to get that roster spot, but we've got 2 more preseason games to go to figure this thing out, right? With both Livingston and Iguodala out, Quinn was kind of exposed for his lack of playmaking, right? We know he can get his shots created by others, but, with those other 2 out of the second unit, the offense really sputtered. Here's where the crazy screen calls started. And with Steph, I do think they're pretty bad. Steph, he's not really moving. Now, Steph flinches and kind of twists his torso a little bit at times because guys try to blow him up. They try to knock Steph over. They don't try to go under or over Steph screens. They try to run through him, and so he's trying to protect himself. Bell and Damian Jones, those guys are moving. They do need to adjust, but Steph, I think they need to chill on that call and give the MVP his respect. There's another 3-ball from him. Another little subtle thing to pay attention to is Jerebko's screen and dribble handoffs. You saw him get Steph that 3, and you see them communicating it right now. But Jerebko seems like he's going to be a solid screen setter, something we're going to need, like I had mentioned, with no David West or Zaza. KD was very passive. Every now and then he was like, yeah, let me get a bucket, but he was chilling. More lack of familiarity, and Jordan Bell again in the center of it. Now I'm going to hold it here. Now he wants to run down and help Steph on Tyson Chandler, who, by the way, does not want to score the ball. But in my estimation, he needs to hang it to the top. Jerebko's already down there to help. And what he does is he's going to basically get Ryan Anderson an open shot, but Jerebko does a great job of selling out 2 players over, and then Steph switches back over. But the defense was compromised because Bell doesn't always choose the right option. It's not about matchups. It's about who can get there and recover more easily, in my opinion. But these are subjective things. Look at this full wiggle and diggle all the way to the rim, this time with the right hand. I love the way he's finishing, very low to the ground and just very strong and decisively. Now here's a legit screen call that needs to be cleaned up, and I believe we talked about this quite a bit when Damian played last season. And I've identified what it is. He tries to slide his feet over like he's playing defense. You see how he slides? You've got to move your feet together because he keeps sliding. And that Steph doesn't know when he's set because he keeps sliding. And so I know they tried to blame Steph for that one, but Damian, he needs to not use such a wide base. He needs to move both feet at the same time. Hop into the screen. Don't slide into the screen. That's the mistake he's making, and that's a legit call. Kevon Looney, please pull that jump shot. That's the evolution for you offensively. It's going to open up the floor, and it's going to get you a bigger check, young man. Pull the jumper. We know you've got it. There's House Jr. and his aggression. We just don't have enough guys that attack the rim hard like him, and that's why I'm leaning towards him. Watch Looney. And the funny thing is about him taking these charges is he doesn't really have another option, right? He's so plodding. He's kind of got to just guess and stay there. And it works out for him more times than not. And here's Damian Jones with some nice weak side defense. He probably could have Bill Russelled that and kept it in play, but good to see him aggressive on that end. Again, Barnett was talking about how quick of a leaper he is, but we just don't see it take place in games. Everything's a power jump. I want to see some quick leaping from Damian Jones. And watch Curry's screen here. And he actually got bumped from behind on the screen. It's an egregious call. And this is where it got me to thinking, like, is this the NBA's way of trying to slow down this powerhouse team? Right? Like, we've heard these complaints ever since Bogut, right? The illegal screens they set, and everybody does it. But is this the NBA's way of trying to neutralize maybe the greatest team we've ever seen? And Kerr's had enough. Bye, thank you, preseason game. But wait for it. The best part of this ejection is Kerr stops and lets his newest player know, yeah, I'm crazy too, Boogie. I'm crazy too. You see this? I can get thrown out. You feel me? So the early exit for Kerr, as these refs need to get this together. I don't know how many preseason games you guys have watched, but there's been way too many whistles. I guess they're trying to get the players to adjust to the new baseline. Daniel House Jr. almost takes the soul of DeAndre Ayton, and that's why I like this kid, because we know there's going to be plenty of games that the Stars are going to have a hard time getting up for, and the energy is going to be dead, and the arena is going to be dead, and a big spike from this kid is going to be worth its weight in gold to energize the team in the arena on those, quiet nights in January. There's Ryan Anderson, another three ball. When you play Looney and Jones, neither of them really want to get out on the perimeter, and Phoenix made us pay for it and really dominated this game from the three-point line. Damian, this was an interesting move. Not a move you see from a 7-footer, but it dropped. It's soft. Here's the irony. Here's a real illegal screen from KD that's not called at all. You see him moving at the last second, but I think after the Kerr ejection, they decided to chill. Jones, the beneficiary, with the hammer. Here's a perfect example of Damian loading up on his challenge, right? If he would have just closed the distance and moved forward and leapt quickly, he probably would have got a fingertip on that thing. Quinn Cook pull up in transition, and Bell, who was pretty quiet all night long except for me picking on him in his defensive rotations with the putback slam, but this was very impressive. Tyson Chandler's as long as they come, pause, and he just flicks a jumper in his face on the baseline. Here's a look at Evans' catch and shoot three ball, and his release is just not high enough. He misses off the front of the rim every time. Jordan Bell, he's learning. Look at the right pivot foot, and then instead of the big hammer, the finesse finish. I was pleased to see him preserving himself a bit. Now, Evans off the dribble seems to have a different release. He's much more comfortable shooting off the dribble. Now, the fourth quarter was extendo garbage time, as you see Kerr's ejection. There was really nothing to talk about. It was trash ball as the Suns handled us and played harder. Now, the Laker game Wednesday night is going to be interesting. Are there going to be statements made by these two teams now that LeBron's there? Will there be a little bit of extra juice in those two preseason games? I think there will be, and I'll cover them. I'm out, y'all.